Welcome to another brand new, deliciously made, fresh off the farm edition of Life and In Between podcast. My name is Patrick Pac-Man Perez. We have an amazing lineup for you today because we have one of the 8 wonders of the world. Growing up, we had Michael Jordan, we had Deion Sanders, we had Godzilla, we had Wolverine, Conan, but now we have Norma Mercado. We have Norma in the house.
Wow.
She is joining us all the way from San Marcos, Texas, because she's just cool like that. And I'll let Deanna introduce you, but I just want to introduce like how Norma and I met. It's so random because everybody needs a hero. When a hero comes along. So last year, I had an ADHD moment where I impulsively applied for this grant. Then I hyper-focused on that grant, and then I won this grant. All of a sudden, the city of Bastrop was giving me almost $12,000 to throw an event. And then the light bulb went off in my head. I was like, wait a minute. Who's paying the taxes on this $12,000? Because Lord knows I'm not about to make $12,000. I'm using all this money to throw the event, pay the artists, pay the DJs. And that's when panic mode set in. It's like, oh my gosh, what do I do? So I started blowing up some friends and just talking to people. And Grace George's Fatima, one of my BFFs here, she was like, oh, well, your event, Bailan Beats, sounds something like we could do with our resilience program. Why don't you come and meet Norma? And so I go and meet Norma, and it was like walking into a Jedi's palace. It's just like, oh my gosh. And so Norma came through, and like it's kind of like The Godfather, where somebody just says, I can fix it, and boom, there's so many different things she did. She helped secure the venue, her team. She came in and just gave sanity to my vision. It was like, yeah, why don't we just put the money into our nonprofit, and that way we can disperse the funds. We'll do this and that. So over the course of a month and a half, I think I spoke to the mayor, I spoke to the city council, I spoke to the city manager, just trying to get this money out of my name into their name. It happened. And then up until the day of the event, Norma was just saving my butt every step. Like, oh, all the food that they promised us wasn't coming. Okay, Patrick, here, let me take a call. Boom, Norma's on it. Okay, well, I don't have a cameraman. Well, I know one. Hold on. Boom, there we go. And so she made the event. She saved the event. We had B-boys and breakers and DJs from Texas, Dallas, Houston, Austin, San Antonio. The coolest thing that's ever happened in this town, I will say. And it's all because of Norma. And that is why I got this Norma tattoo right
Oh my
there.
God.
No, just really small little tattoo. Oh, wait till we get JR on here. Like, JR, I got a tattoo of your face on my chest. Okay, enough about that. But with all of that, Norma is just an incredible mover, shaker. She is a woman on a mission. She empowers, she elevates, and she does the best thing that a leader can do. She replicates, and she helps others find their voice, find their strength, and do things that matter. And I'm going to pass it to Deanna now because Deanna has like the formal stuff. So Deanna, take it away for part 2 of our intro.
Yes. Well, first of all, thank you, Patrick, for introducing and bringing Norma on, because she is such an amazing woman. Reading her bio. First of all, let's start off with Norma Mercado has been working in the educational setting for over the past 24 years. Wow, 24 years. That's incredible. And she currently serves as an executive director at the Bastrop County Cares. And Norma has served as the family and social services coordinator in the Bastrop Independent School District. One of her primary roles was overseeing a highly mobile student population and social work department. Yeah. Norma's advocacy efforts were instrumental in developing the Family Resource Center to help remove barriers by providing resources and services for students and families. But it doesn't end there. This is amazing. This is good stuff that we're hearing. Now, Norma's experience with homelessness, teen pregnancies, poverty fuels her passion to help others. And I just have to say that this is incredible. Like, your story just continues to overcome these barriers. Now, you were born in Chihuahua, Mexico, and you were raised in two countries. Mexico, in the U.S. And, your family migrated each year to work in the migrant fields. And growing up, one of the most significant challenges for Norma was attending different schools and making friends. And despite of all these challenges, Norma, of raising a family and working full time, you're able to complete your master's in social work. Wow.
Wow.
Wow. Jeez. And is a PhD student at Texas State University.
What?
Now, you have I know. This is an incredible, amazing woman. Norma's personal story and works have been featured in the New York Times and in the Spanish television newscast, Univision, Aquí y Ahora. Wow. What? I know. Thank you. You are so amazing.
Both worlds, the top things in both worlds here. That is so cool.
And her last name is Mendez.
Hey.
Mendez.
We have 2 Mendez. See, you come from a long line of Mendez's, Jason.
It's not about me. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. It's not about me.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here, to just be part of this. Thank you.
Oh my goodness.
So, Norma, is there something that we left out that was not in this bio? Because you're truly incredible, and I know you have some stories to share. Is there something that you would like to share that was not covered in this bio?
No, I think that summarized most of it. Thank you so much. Yes.
Wow, Norma.
Got to give honor where honor is due, and I'll even say the whole other side of this. Her kids are just as amazing. Like, professional soccer player. Mentor, to the kids here in Bash Shop. One or two of them work with you, I think?
Yeah, one of them works with me. My older daughter, she's a teacher. She's a middle school coach and teacher. I have a 17-year-old, will be a senior next year. And then I have a 14-year-old who's got friends upstairs. So you might hear some loud noises. It's him and his friends spending the night. And then my oldest, and then I have a 23-year-old who is also a counselor at Gary Job Corp. And then my oldest son works with me as
that's there's like the different levels of like Mexican. Like I'm like Americanized Mexican, just me and my brother. And then there's like, more Mexican, and then like Mexican. Like, this whole pueblo here is our family. So
yes.
That is so amazing. I did want to kind of ask you a quick question, Norma, if you don't mind. I know that, your credentials are phenomenal. I was reading your resume, and you have done such amazing work and such amazing things. And one thing that you shared when we talked earlier was about imposter syndrome. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of us face that, and it's very difficult. Can you touch on that a little bit more? Because I know our audience would love to hear about that.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, so I think that's something that I didn't, I've studied about it. I've seen it. I've taught about it, but I really experienced imposter syndrome, specifically in this new role as an executive director. In the past, I was a social worker in school settings, navigating challenges with students and families, but I was experiencing burnout. After COVID, it was a lot of crisis that I was dealing with, and I really felt that I needed a break from that. And so when I took the role as an executive director, I really began to figure out this in between, like, how do I become this person who's been case managing and now running an organization? And so I went through this process of grief and loss. I was really missing my students, the families. I felt that I wasn't myself anymore. Mm-hmm. That if I wasn't helping, I was not being myself. And so in this new role as a leader, I felt like I was fake. Like, am I really a leader? And then I began to hear the naysayers, like, you're too nice, or you should do this versus that. And so I began to really look for mentors. And that's when I had a hard time finding someone that looked like me, someone that shared my experiences. And I found myself in a very unique space. I felt alone. I felt like there was nobody else that I could turn to that was in this leadership role and that could help guide me.
Mm-hmm.
And so thankfully, I was able to join the Collective Impact. Oh, sorry, there goes the kids that I told you about.
Okay, it's okay.
And the Collective Impact, it was totally different than what I was expecting. I was expecting this leadership course about how to be a better leader. And, I'm used to seeing leaders who are very strong-minded, very authoritarian. And so in my mind, that's a good leader. And somehow I was disconnected with this leadership role that it wasn't me. It felt foreign. That was not me. That's not the leader that I want to become. And so thankfully, when I began this training on collective impact leadership, it was people that did look like me. And it was about learning how to love myself and how to live authentically with who I am. And that I don't have to listen to the naysayers. I have to just be myself.
Perfect.
And I don't have to be a leader that I've seen that I thought is acceptable. I can just be myself and still be a good leader. And that's taken me 1.5 years to finally move from that space, this imposter syndrome leader, to finally being, I don't care what the naysayers say. I am content with my decision, and I can be a leader and be a nice person. I can treat people with dignity and respect, and I'm still a good leader. And it was not an easy process.
Yeah. That was beautiful.
Yeah, that's a mic drop right there. That's beautiful.
That was, where's the,
Yeah, yes, let's do.
Yeah. And I also had to learn, something that I learned is to forgive myself, because when I'm not listening to the naysayers, when I'm not doing what others want me to do, I felt guilty. And I'm like, why am I feeling this way? And I finally said, you know what? I am okay. I'm going to forgive myself. I have to learn to forgive myself to feel this way, but I have to accept the decisions that I make because that is who I am. And that's the leader I want to be. Mm-hmm. But like I said, it wasn't easy. And I wish more of those leadership opportunities were available.
Yeah.
And we had more people willing to mentor each other. Oftentimes, I see other leaders who don't want to help you because then you're going to be successful or you're going to be more than. And to really support each other. And I see this a lot, especially in the Hispanics. They always say that we're like the cangrejos. We're trying to pull each other out of a bucket. And it shouldn't be like that. We're supposed to be uplifting each other. And that's why when I saw Patrick, I'm like, how can I help you be successful? Because this is about Patrick, not about Norma. It's about Patrick being successful, because if he's successful, I am successful. And I really want to not only say that, but really demonstrate it to everyone. Like, we should be that way, uplift each other and support each other.
That's beautiful.
That is powerful
awesome.
words.
I can't even, my snap is not working. And you said something, that you were in this leadership program with people that looked like you. Why was that important?
Because I could be myself. And I know it's something, it's kind of crazy, but everybody was either Black or Hispanic. But then when there's someone there who's white, the power shift changes. And I wish it wasn't like that, but it is. I feel like I need to pretend to be someone that I'm not to fit into this shape that is supposed to be acceptable. And it was different, and I don't know, I wish it wasn't like that, but we unconsciously do it all the time.
Do you find yourself that when you are around certain individuals that are white, that you have to co-talk and change how you would normally speak? I know I found myself in corporate America in particular, there is a way when you talk when you're with your Latinos, your familia, you really lax, and it's more warm and more embracing. You're able to hug each other and kind of do something, but it's you have to shift your way of talking, your body language, everything changes.
It's like this imposter syndrome that you feel like you have to pretend to be this person you're not. And that's where I had to learn, like, no, I have to be myself no matter where I'm at. and they're going to like me. Either they're going to like me like this or that's it, because this is how I am. I don't have to, but I was trying so hard to change, to wear the suit and to look more professional. I'm like, but that's uncomfortable for me. I want to wear this nice, and I want to be a leader that's comfortable. And so, and it was so hard, and it shouldn't be this hard.
During sports and stuff like that, we always say, "Oh yeah, they're playing at home. We're going to beat them." And that means it's like, okay, this is our place. We're comfortable. This is our area, right? So at the same time, if you're comfortable in your own skin, then you're in the zone. You're focused. You're better when you're you. If you're trying to be somebody else, you're not. Then you're saying things that's off tempo. It's out of your element, and you're so trying to be, uncomfortable, but yet it's trying. You know what I'm saying? You're trying to fit, and things just people will notice that you're trying too hard.
Yeah, exactly. And then you get tired of it. Except at some point you're gonna feel like, oh, they're gonna know the truth.
Yeah.
Or I'm gonna say the wrong thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so you get tired. So I kind of had to learn how to just be myself. And if I make mistakes, I make mistakes. If I'm uncomfortable with something, I just lean into it. You know what? This is making me uncomfortable, but I'm willing to try. So it's just kind of being comfortable with the uncomfortableness, and then call it out, how you're feeling and why it's making you feel uncomfortable. And I think it's been even more for me, the challenge right now during this political climate is I have people saying like, well, you have a PhD and you need to be doing more, like you could be advocating better or more in the political area. But at the same time, I'm conscious of I'm not a naturalized citizen. And now I'm scared. If I am advocating in favor or against something, am I losing my citizenship? And some people don't understand that if they don't have my experience and the importance of me navigating within the boundaries of what's acceptable, which some see it as limiting and not being a fighter. But at the same time, I also have to take care of myself and my family. And so that is why right now it feels a little bit scary of the times that we're in and the limitations that I feel as a leader.
And that's why this episode is called Crushing It con Cuidado.
I know. It's like, you want to go, but it's like, wait, also be mindful of what's happening around you.
I do have a question, if y'all don't mind. Still, I have another one. Norma, so you had mentioned, also like when I meet people all the time, every day, and I look for it. I look for meeting those folks, whoever that may be, because I'm always learning something from them. Now that my eyes and everything is open, and I'm always like trying to figure out, hey, so where'd you come from? And a lot of the folks I meet as working in security, either it's the cleaning crew, or it's the people watching the windows, so it's going to be a lot of my cousins just being just straight up, and so this one person, what was it? And I'm trying not to lose train of thought, but it's basically this. They were saying, trying to word it right. It's, why are we holding our brothers and sisters down when we should be helping them up? What would be the reasons? Is it greed? Are we scared that they're gonna come up and take those positions that we're shooting for? Like what from your experiences and what you learned, like what is that? Why are we holding them down? Like what's going on? What do you think the reasons are?
I think it's because, and again, I don't know if this is right, but I feel like it's because we feel scared of that. If I help Patrick be better, then they're going to want him and I'm going to lose the job because then now he's better. And so is this thought of always fighting for ourselves and trying to be better at, because we have to always be outperforming the next person so that we can, it's almost like we always have to show and prove ourselves.
Yeah.
we can't, and again, I don't know if it's, if it's the way we are raised, especially in the way I know my mom, single mom, she was always like, you need to go to school and you need to do more and you need to do better. And you need to, that's why I sacrifice myself and you need to. And so I always grab, like, I need to work really hard. And if I'm not working hard, I'm not doing enough. But at some point that gets really tiring. Like, it's like, okay, I should work hard, smarter, not harder. But it's like the way we're raised. And I don't think, and I think at some point we have to realize if Patrick gets better and then we both get better and we're both at the same, we are more powerful.
Yeah.
But it takes a time for us to grow to that mentality. Because the whole time I'm in this rat race trying to beat Patrick so that I get there faster, because then I want to be better, because lose my opportunity.
Yeah. And there's a lot too. It's because I would almost say it might come from like a survival instinct. Like we're, because the marginalized, the underrepresented, the Black, brown, we come, well, not all of us. I grew up very suburban with a pool and a 2-story house type of thing. But a lot of the time it's that if I can't win and you do, I'm at risk of losing out. And that, I mean, like even right now, like I'm applying for a grant, you're applying for the same grant, but we're also collaborating on stuff like this. Right. And so it gets very tricky in that shifting of that mindset of like, there's enough to go around and there's, you're going to be all right. There was a speaker that I helped out years ago and got him some gigs at a university that was bringing me year after year. I was like, oh yeah, bring this guy, he's great. And then all of a sudden they quit calling me. They quit calling me and they kept calling him. I was like, oh, ouch. But it was like, hey, you know what? Ni modo. Life goes on. You just find someone else and you keep growing. And it's this is what, and I guess this is what I'm trying to get to.
Yeah.
That there's this clashing of the Mexican culture, but with the American culture, where American is, because most women end up being CEOs of like nonprofits, where men become the CEOs of these other companies.
Corporate America. And this whole dynamic, it's like, you cutthroat, you win, you get it. Where nonprofit world is like, no, we're here to nurture and help, but they both make money. They're, some of the CEOs of some of the biggest nonprofits make, close to $1 million a year or something, which, it's decent money. But even that, Patrick, was really hard for me. Even that, because as a migrant child, working hard means you're in the grape fields and the cottons and the sherries. How is it that you're making 100,000 behind a desk? That's not acceptable. That's not okay. That was very hard for me.
Oh, wow.
I almost felt like I had to forgive myself for being okay with that, because it's not where I come from. It's not what normally happens in my family. And I had to recognize I deserve this. I own this. I am smart enough. I am worth it. And that took a while, because I had to.
Awesome.
When I finally made those 100,000, I thought this money could go to this shelter. This money, like, I feel guilty. I'm taking money away, but also I need to live and I need to be okay with that. And I deserve it and work hard. And that also took time. And it's not, I know. And when I hear people making hundreds and millions, it's like, how do they sleep? It's hard.
Yeah. They just laid off half the workforce so they could get that bonus.
Oh, man, on top of that.
Yeah. It's hard.
It's that internal conflict that we go through. Yeah. And it's very difficult. And it's a guilt. It's kind of like, because of the experience, like you were mentioning, of that you lived through, especially when you lived through that difficult, challenging poverty, that you were able to get to a point, but you see others have not gotten there. And it's like guilt that eats you away. And I think also the fact that there are not many seats available at the top, And that's why I'm a strong believer that we have to make the seats then. If there's not room for us in the table, we make, let's open up another table. Let's do it, and include more. But thank you for sharing that, Norma. Thank you. I mean, I think you're speaking what many women right now that are being promoted into roles. And it's that imposter syndrome that you're talking about, that it's like, oh my gosh, and they find themselves with that internal voice that's just feeling guilt. And I know that you talked about, and I'm leading to asking you this question, that you talked about how it took a while for you to accept that. Were there any types of techniques or things that you did differently or reached out to other individuals that helped you through that transition? Because it's a very difficult transition. What helped you?
What helped me was surrounding myself with positive people that always uplifted me and said, Norma, you're so smart. Norma, you can do this. Norma. And that really helped me internalize that. It took me, and I didn't really understand the power of positive self-talk and positive mentorship until I took my licensing for my master's social work. It took me 3 times. And normally you should pass it up the first time, but I could not. It was such a difficult test. I finally requested accommodations. And at the end of the test, there's a summary and it tells you what you need to be doing to pass this test. And it said I needed positive affirmation. And I said, oh my gosh, this is so dumb. Like, I've studied so hard. I know this stuff. This is like, why would I need to do this? But I said, you know what? I'm going to try this. And so every day I would hear this YouTube video. Oh, you're going to pass this test. You're going to get an A. You're smart enough. You're going to ace it. I passed the darn test. And I didn't even study. And I was like, oh my gosh, the power of positive. And so that really, and then learning to do, so that really helped me. And then going on forgiveness walks. Whenever I feel like I'm feeling I should, those naysayers again, I go on a forgiveness walk and say, I'm going to forgive myself because I'm feeling this way, and then keep going. And so, yeah, those are the things that and then I'm a faith believer. So lots of prayer definitely has helped me.
Yeah. Norma, can you give us an example of a forgiveness? What is those mental wars? What is it that, I mean, I know you've said some things briefly, but can you give us an example of a detail?
Yeah. So something that I learned through this process is that we all create patterns the way that we're raised, and it comes in our leadership roles. I didn't recognize that's what it was until I began in my journey through the leadership training with Collective Impact. And growing up, my mother, it was me. I'm the oldest of 3, and my mother, single mother, but we went through a lot of challenges, and one of those was domestic violence, to the point that my mom almost got killed from the severity of the domestic violence. And I always had to protect my mom and my brother. And so I didn't recognize until later when you ask me for help, and if I don't help you, I feel like I'm not doing enough. Mm-hmm. And so, but that's what led to burnout, because I don't know when to stop. I would work 24/7. Patrick knows. Mm-hmm. I will go above and beyond to help someone. But I had to learn that I have to say no for self-care, or I'm going to die too young. Yeah. And so whenever I can't help, I have to say, I forgive myself for not helping today, and it's going to be okay. Wow. Because I and it comes these patterns, because in my mind, I have to help you. Otherwise you're going to think I'm not, I didn't really help you. And so but I want to help you, but so that's kind of how I do the forgiveness.
This is so good. Wow. Sorry, Jason, I got to jump into your cannonball.
Oh, no, yes, go.
It's so pretty much you had to build yourself up and tell yourself you're worthy to make 6 figures, but then you also are now having to put that fence and those boundaries around to protect yourself, because and you do so much. And I'll even say this behind the scenes now, that when we were doing our event, her staff would pull me to the side at times and be like, Patrick, I know Norma wants to help you, but you need to quit asking her for help because she's going to say yes. She needs to be working on her PhD.
Oh, wow.
And they would literally say she is such a giving person, but now I'm seeing the why, because even Rachel, like, it was funny. Rachel, my wife, as soon as I told her we got Norma on the podcast tonight, it's going to be awesome. And she's like, oh, that's so great. But is she doing it because she couldn't say no, or she really wanted to do it? I was like, wow, you know Norma good.
Wow.
Yeah, she just asked it, and I was like, that's a good point. It's a Friday night. It's 9:00 at night when we're filming this. And I was like, I don't know, but the world needs to know. They need to know what Norma has to offer.
I'm sorry, Norma. I'm just gonna put it out there. I'm sorry.
To do this.
So that's Norma. I think it's power that you're giving, and because that's the thing is, you can help. You can do what is needed, and now you're learning it's like the boundaries, and I think that goes for. I honestly think that goes for a lot of people of faith.
Mm-hmm.
My family and I grew up in the church. And it's hard sometimes to say no because you're like, I'm blessed to be a blessing. I'm here to serve and give. And then you burn out because, you're trying to work, you're trying to go to school, then you want to help out at the church. And then they want you to mentor and this and this. And it's like, set a boundary.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's when you can't do it, then that's when you forgive yourself for not being.
See, that's so
you
good.
Say, I forgive myself because I had to say no to Patrick today. And so I had to, that's really helping me be able to forgive myself when I can't help, because in my nature, I will not stop.
That's wow.
I have to do self-care.
That is good.
Wow, Norma.
Could you say, like, so for our listeners out there, could you just give like your little pep talk to them about knowing your worth and setting those boundaries? Just talk to that person that might be going through this transition between jobs, the mom who is an empty nester going back into the workforce. Could you just give them your Norma nuggets of life?
Yeah, you deserve to take time for yourself, and you're going to miss events and days and birthdays and occasions, but it's okay. Right now, you have to focus on one thing, and that's what you have to do. Prioritize you, yourself, and your family, because at the end of the day, that's really all that matters. And there's if extra time, then I will help anybody extra, but always prioritizing self before others. And it's okay to do that. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Thank you for that, Norma.
Good. I like that, prioritizing self before others. That's so, and this goes so counterintuitive. Sorry, I think the lack of coffee is hitting me. Because in the faith world, it's always about, Jesus first, others, and then you, joy. But that's kind of like if you're burned out, you're not going to want to serve others first. If you're burned out, your walk with the Lord is not going to be what it could be.
100%. Yeah.
And I really think it's like a process. So there was a time where I did need to give to others because of my position or where I was. But I think then that you're kind of going through stages. I also had a revelation of this in prayer, and I'll share a brief testimony. We were in church praying, and I remember this specific prayer. I had just gone this position. I had just been in this position. I had gone in October. In December, I was struggling with this imposter syndrome, and I was praying and saying, God, do I belong here? Is this where you want me to be? Like, give me a sign. And in my prayer, I saw Jesus walking through the altar, and I remember trying to touch him and saying, if I could just touch you, like the woman that's praying and just wants to touch his garment. And then I saw him sitting in this large table, and I asked him, just give me like the crumbs, like this, the story in the Bible, or just something, just show me, tell me. And he just looked down to me. I didn't see his face. It's just, this is what I'm praying, and I'm envisioning this. And he says, why are you still asking from the crumbs when you have a seat at the table?
Mm.
And it was like, wow, it's true. Like, why am I asking for the crumbs when I already know I've been saved? I know I'm a woman of God. I know I'm a child of God. Then why am I still asking from the crumbs? I belong in this table. I've been placed in this table. And that was also an awakening for me. Like, he put me in this position because I belong here, and he will give me the tools that I need to be, because I belong here. And so that also helped me through prayer of reaffirmation of that I belong here, and that I am here. And I'm, if I'm have any doubts, if I need anything, those things will be provided to make sure that I'm successful.
Drop the mic. Drop the mic right there.
So that's why I kind of said, like, it's like a process, because there was there was a point where, and just because I can't always help, and I have to forgive myself when I can help, I will help 100%. I want to be genuinely here for the people that need me. But now I'm able to put the boundary. So, like, if you need me at 9:30 for a podcast, I will say yes to Patrick, but I'm going to say no to someone else, because I can only for one person. So I will, say, like, be there genuinely, authentically in the space, because you're able to block everything else so that you're there authentically.
That is so awesome.
Yeah.
It reminds me of this funny story we had a pastor, like a pastor, come preach at our church one time. And he literally got up on stage and he told everybody, well, I didn't want to be here, but I respect your pastor. So I'm here, and I should be out with my wife. And he just kind of went on this whole thing that he didn't want to be there, but he's like, I came because I respect the man of God. And I'm just like, okay, that's funny. I don't know what that has to do with this, but yeah, okay, carry on.
Yeah.
I do have. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I just had a question to ask you, Norma. It's a two-part question. I know that you were mentioning earlier that you had a hard time like finding mentors and all that. So kind of just wondering if you were able to find a mentor, and if you have, like, what was like the best advice that they gave you as part one? And part two, have you ever been a mentor to a mentee? And what's been the best advice you've given them?
Yeah. So when I first got this role, there was a couple of people recommended different mentors, and they were all had things in common. They were older men, they were white, they had been previous CEOs. And at first I was like, oh no, like, this is not going to work. But I went ahead and tried it with one of them, and he has been absolutely amazing, and he'll listen to me, and then he'll give me advice. But one of those things that helps me is he's always highlighting. I always want to focus on the negative. Like, I'm always trying to say I could have done, should have, would have. And he's always focusing, but you did this right, and you did this right. And that really helped me. Like, oh yeah, like, yeah, this didn't go right, but all these other things went right, and focusing on that strength base that, I try to lead with. And another one, old supervisor that I had was an old librarian. Every day before he left, he would always tell me, you need, show me things that I needed to do. And he would always has this phrase that he would say, if I die crossing the railroad tracks, you need to do this, this, and this. And so that really has helped me, like, yeah, everything I do here, I have to make sure I'm teaching the next generation, because I will not be here. I can die crossing the railroad tracks. And so are my children equipped to survive? Are my, I'm raising, I have to raise adults ready to confront life. I won't be here forever. Same thing at work. Everybody has to know what I'm doing, because they need to lead, because the day I leave, they need to lead. And so I always try to mentor people, like, to make sure that in their journey also mentor the next generation, because they have to keep the work going. And so that's kind of like two things. They're from two different mentors that have helped me in the way that I lead for my staff and my family.
Wow.
And I'll say she has a really awesome staff. Like they're like the Avengers. Like Norma's amazing. Then you meet Fatima Grace and you're like, whoa. And then you meet their accounting department, Yvonne and Erica. You're like, whoa. They're just like the Powerpuff Girls.
Yeah. I always tell them like nobody like you should come into the office and you don't even know who the ED is because everybody here are the ED. Everybody leads with that mentality of everything we do is for the community. So it doesn't matter what the role is. We're all in here for the same mission.
Well,
they're not there for the crumbs because they know they've been invited to the table.
Exactly. Yes, we belong at the table.
Yeah. Norma, I'm glad that we're talking about imposter syndrome because that is a very, very heavy topic with me. Like it just, for me, the same thing. It just recently happened here this past. No, actually, no. It was my last 2 years at this major company of telecommunications, and then I talked about it a little bit, with the team and everything on another episode. But it was always like trying to be somebody I'm not. But it was always the one person, the one, basically, it wasn't the minorities. It was always the one person that's always been there that we always trying to please and show approval, like to get approval from. And yeah, it's and then to speak like them, to speak proper English, and so you're not constantly being judged. And asking questions and asking the wrong questions, and you're afraid of asking these questions because of where you're coming from, but you're actually asking them from your unique perspective. And I was scared of asking it from that perspective because I'm coming from a different background, literally from this side of things, when everybody else grew up this way. And so it was just like, what is wrong? And it was my baby sister that told me, big brother, you're have you heard of imposter syndrome? And then ever since that, I embraced all my weaknesses and challenges because those are my imperfections. Those are what makes me me. And so I would strengthen those weaknesses, and it felt a whole lot better. It was almost like saying, okay, all right, this is what I am. And I accepted those things and moving forward. And I will even go with that. And I know some people will say, like, if you're trying to get a job, don't say that you're weak at this and things like that. I get it. I understand. But when you're trying to lead by example and things like that, and people are also afraid and scared, tell them, hey, look, this is what I'm afraid of, and this is what I'm working on, and this is how I'm doing it. But yeah, ever since that imposter syndrome came into perspective, I embraced everything that was wrong with me. And I was able to move. I was able to cross this threshold and move forward. And I basically woke up.
Boom. You found out the problems were your power.
Yeah.
That's it in a nutshell. Yeah. It's
a challenge. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. It's definitely, I feel like we often don't talk about it enough, and it's there, and it consumes you, but you have to address it and don't let it consume you.
I think this is affecting all of minorities, I would assume. I think, and we don't realize it until, like, hey, relax. Once we understand what it is and we put a label on it, then we can say, okay, no, I fit in that category. I know what that is. Okay, how do I improve that? Other than that, you're always going to find yourself struggling until you realize, what is this imposter syndrome? What's going on?
Yeah.
I think we're all struggling through that.
Yeah. And I also think it goes kind of coupled with internal biases that we have. We all have them. And I had so many biases growing up. I'll tell you a funny story. My mom, growing in Mexico, my mom always told my brother, you can't marry a white girl. And I didn't understand, like, why can't you marry a white girl? Well, they don't know how to cook. They're just going to eat hot dogs and hamburgers and pizza. And so in my mind, white woman can't cook. Like, this just happening. And so when I get to the United States, and my first supervisor, it was at this library, and his wife cooked the most amazing food, and she was white. And then I thought, wait, if white women can cook, then what else have it been thinking that I'm incorrect? I had to learn, because of the way I was raised. I was in this little bubble that I had to also recognize how my biases come through sometimes and don't allow me to see things differently. And so I had to also recognize those things.
Isn't that crazy how our parents, I mean, their intentions are good. They mean well. They try to protect us. But until we start waking up and we see what's going on, it's like, wait a minute, and then here comes racism. Here comes,
Mhm.
and it was taught. It was taught to us, right?
Look, Patrick's remembering something.
No, because I just remember one time when I was dating a Taiwanese girl, and my mom was just like, "Why can't you date a Mexicana?" And I was like, "Because they all have babies right now." I mean, I just went there. I was like, they already have kids. I mean, yeah. So I just went there. But
I don't want to. I'm not ready to be an instant father yet.
yeah, I was like, I'm 20. I was like maybe 30 at the time. I don't know. In Austin, everybody has Peter Pan syndrome. So you're 50.
And if you're Hispanic at 30, you're not married, something's wrong.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm from Austin. That's what was wrong. Like everybody in Austin's like 50. Oh, I'm gonna start dating again. It's like what?
Yeah.
I have friends in San Antonio who are my age and their grandparents. So,
I believe it.
That's me. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is so good. And cultural capital. That's what I was going to throw out to you.
Culture capital.
Oh, yeah.
I heard that phrase many years ago. I actually think it was through J.R. Gonzalez, his little cohort that we're trying to get on here. But they were talking about cultural capital. These are the things that we bring as Hispanics, Mexicans, Mexican Americans, that we can bring that other people don't know about. And this is our power. This is our way of navigating the world. It's a different thing. And I guess, Norma, if I could throw this ball into your court, bringing your cultural capital as a woman, as a Mexican Chihuahuan woman, how could that be perceived as just is more power, to those who think they may be disqualified because they're a first gen, because they're not a English as a first language background. The cultural capital that you brought, I mean, I can't cuss right now, but you're just a baddie. You're kicking butt and serving. So many.
I think the way that I'm trying to capture that is, so I didn't get to share what my PhD research is on, but I'm doing a phenomenological study on the resiliency of the undocumented immigrants who come to the country undocumented. They already have their documents, either resident or citizenship, but what was the challenges navigating U.S. systems and what kept them going? Because often, like me, we didn't get professional help. We don't go to the doctors. We don't. And so, but what kept them going? How did they become? What gave them that resiliency that they have, and what can we learn from them? And so that's what I'm trying to give back, because for me, it was really challenging navigating these systems with the team as a teen, pregnant and high school, experiencing racism, discrimination. So navigating these systems was very, very challenging. And so I'm trying to learn from others with similar experience. So if you know anyone, let me know. I'd love to interview them.
Oh,
I'm telling you, Marisol, we're trying to get her on this podcast as well. From undocumented to unstoppable. She's just got her PhD. And
please let me know, because that's who I want to interview. That's the purpose of my studies, to really highlight the resiliency. Too often we're focused on the traumatic experiences, but I want to focus on the resiliency of to really change the narrative of the undocumented immigrant, them now being here in this country, and how much they can give back, and how much we overcome to where we are. And so that's what I'm trying to highlight.
Norma, I do have maybe this is a personal, off different focus of a question, and I'm probably surprising my team here. So, and once I start saying this, maybe you'll start understanding what I'm about to ask. As a lot of the folks, our family, our cousins, relatives, brothers and sisters coming from Mexico, and they come here, right, to have a better life, right? Mm-hmm. And it has to do with tradition, culture. And I remember growing up, and including my grandmother, who was a professional homemaker. And my mom, it was awesome. I just remember growing up, it's like, hey, there's my mom in the kitchen, right? There's my grandma in the kitchen. That was like the ideal, like that's what this was supposed to be. That's how I was growing up, right? My first, I guess, 14 years of my life. And then, but I just know that as I'm growing up, there is a lot of struggles, a lot of, mothers not being appreciated, the husbands, they're already like, they just like, hey, you belong in the kitchen. Hey, you don't have to go work. I'll take care of the bills, all this thing. So just to get real quick, fast forward, I've had friends, mothers that divorced because the husbands didn't understand. They were just stuck in this one ideal of the way they grew up. And including my mom, including right up back to back to back. I have a few aunts that they all divorced because of they were tired of living the way they were living in, the way it was in Mexico and now over here, and that's not what they wanted. So I guess what I'm trying to ask is, that development, it's not the women, it's really the guys that are not accepting the change or struggling with change.
Yeah.
And they just think that's the way it's supposed to be. So
Maga.
is that what this is?
I know. Yeah, it really is. So I mentioned to you that I was raised by a single mom. And so she was very strong-headed because she had been through domestic violence. So her message to me was always, you never let a man touch you. A man doesn't tell you what to do. You need to go to school. You need to be better. And so we always grew up with this mentality of the man doesn't tell us what to do.
Wow.
And my husband comes from a very machista home where he tells what to do. And so I remember the first time that I remember one time I was going somewhere and then I come back and he's so angry because he said, you didn't ask me permission to go.
Oh my goodness.
And I said, I don't have to ask you permission. I can tell you where I'm going, but I am not asking you permission. And so we had a lot of moments like that. Actually, and then when we moved to Texas in 2006, that was one of the reasons, because he said, I really want you to be home. Like, I want to be able to home. I want you to be home. I'm going to support you. And I've been working since I was 12 in the migrant fields. So I don't know what it's like to be home. And so I said, okay, well, I'll try this. This is going to make you happy. And so he got a job. I stayed home. My child at that point was in kindergarten. I was going crazy. I decided to volunteer at the local library at my kid's school. Then I learned how to do the Dewey system. Then I was inputting and then I was spending all my time at the library. Look at all this. I remember I came home, he says, well, you're supposed to be home, but you're not home. I said, because I'm not happy. I need to be doing something. I have to be giving something in that community. And that's when he said, you know what, just go work then, because then if you're still not here, not making any money. And but a lot of it was his family telling him, you shouldn't let her do this. So she shouldn't let her do that. So it was a time that him and I had a really have an understanding. Yeah, he's like, I want you to be happy. And I said, well, I love to work. Like, I love to work. I love to go up. If I'm home, I'm unhappy. Not because I don't want to be home. I don't love my family. I just feel more productive when I'm working and I can still be happy at home. And so it did take a shift from him. And he has been supportive 100%. We are very, very different. We vote very, very different, but we still support each other. He really supports me. I wouldn't be able to do everything I do without his support, because while I'm doing all the things, he's taking care of our children, taking care of our home. So we really are a team. And so we had to learn that he has to give 100% and I have to give 100% for this to work. But it was not an easy journey. It took a lot of prayer. And also, he's also a co-pastor. So he has to also, like, his walk through his faith has also helped him through that. And now that I see my sons who are wonderful husbands who don't require that. And so I'm glad that they can see now model this other way, that the way it should be, that they have to be a team in the household.
Thank you, Norma, for that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Can I ask a question, Norma? Because I know that there are a lot of listeners that are in that same predicament in their, especially when the husbands are immigrants from another country, and and it's very difficult for that shift to happen, and it's a long journey. And I know when we were mentioning that his family really played a key role. What was it that it took for that mental shift to happen?
We moved to Texas. His family's in another state.
They got away. They got away.
Yeah, it's like literally, it's like, yeah, because and also because in the Hispanic culture, like, the older you do what your older brother or sister say. So for him, he wasn't the oldest one. So they were always telling him, well, she shouldn't be going to school. She needs to stay home and watch the kid.
Wow.
And then it would cause and then when it caused this argument between us, and I finally said, well, is your brother going to come support me? Is he going to come buy the things that I need? Like, it was this constant. So we finally decided, in order for us to be happy, we needed to move. Like, we needed to form our own family, make our own decisions, and not be impacted by anybody else's decisions.
Come on now.
He fully supported you. He followed you, Norma.
Yes, I guess.
You give me the best marriage advice. I mean, that's for Rachel and I too. We moved to Bastrop from Austin, because again, Peter Pan, Austin, and it was like, we need to create our own little life, and Bastrop has helped you. All of this has helped.
Yeah. So it is hard, but sometimes you have to put the distance, because if they're affecting your family and
you're not growing.
If you're not growing, then you need to do what's best for you and your children and your husband.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love that you said that. Thank you. Because I know that there are a lot of people that are going through that. And what you say about distance is so true, because that distance, the family heavily influence. They have that tie. And so, but I'm glad that you mentioned that. So thank you for sharing that.
That's awesome.
And I'll even just throw it out there, because that seems to be the whole climate right now, is that it's trying to get back to that traditional setup. Women need to be at home with the kids. And I'm not knocking that at all. It's that if a woman wants to work, if she wants to grow, if she wants to be able to support, and she just has that desire, it's like, let her do it. Let her grow where she is, instead of, a woman's role is supposed to be serving her husband. That's the way it is. And again, I know we come from the faith walk, and a lot of that has kind of been ingrained in us. It's you submit to the husband and help him with his mission and goal. And it's like, yeah, but like with me and Rachel, I'm like, I think she has such a voice to empower the world.
Mm-hmm.
I can use my experience to help her get out there. It's in.
Yeah. And you complement each other.
Yeah.
She's the best of you and you're the best of her. And
my friends definitely say that too.
I always say, yeah. So yeah, we complement each other.
All of my friends are just like, how did you get with her?
I can't wait to talk about in the future episodes, relationships. I would love to have, especially like you, Norma, come in. We can talk about relationships, strengthening, developing relationships, how, recognizing things where it's like, I mean, we're not therapists, but we're definitely coming from experiences, friends of friends, families of friends, families, divorce, people that we know, and again, it's just from our experiences, and we're leading with a good heart and good intentions, and we don't want nobody to fail. That's what this.
Yeah. I agree. A wonderful topic, very much needed. My husband and I have been married for 30 years, but it has not been fun 30 years. This is taking a long time.
Keep it real now.
Yeah, we've learned a lot through the 30 years. People say, how did you make it look so easy? I'm like, it was not easy at a time. It was very, and he will tell you, she was going to leave me. I did. I was going to leave a couple times. It was hard. So it's definitely a great topic. because sometimes when people see us now stable, think it's easy, and it's really it's has taken so much to get to where we are.
A lot of growing. Just to let y'all know, our 30th anniversary is coming up on 3rd of July.
Yay, congratulations.
How old are you?
Was she also your high school sweetheart?
I know. It's like, would you get married in middle school?
Close. When I met her when I had just turned 21, it was on the 4th of July. And I'm going to save it for another episode because we all decided, hey, let's talk about how we met our
wow, yeah.
But yeah, it was I was 2021, and I think it was in 1995, and her father, I think, recognized something in her because she was very depressed, coming from Chicago, Mexican and Italian.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and for me to, not recognize that she's coming from another state that is totally off, and not knowing what Texas is all about, like I was just unaware. And she's here, and she just had a whole different other perspective. And it's like, man, she's different, And but yeah, she went through a lot when she got here. And I guess I put a smile on her face, and her father recognized that, and he asked me to move in, I think like a year later.
Wow.
Yeah. Hey, but you can't sleep in the same room.
Oh yeah, typical. Yeah. You're not married. You're not sleeping.
I know. That was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. All right. But yeah, just like that.
Oh, that's wonderful.
That is
Well,
cool,
thank
man.
you so much. This has been really enjoyable and conversation.
That's my bedtime, everybody.
So Norma, you've been truly amazing. Thank you for coming on board, and let's just snap. I mean, this is amazing.
Yeah,
so thank you so much for being a woman with strong leadership skills. Thank you for being a trailblazer and for coming on here and sharing your story. We appreciate you so much. And so, with that, I'm gonna. Oh, Jason wants to say something. Go ahead.
I can't let this go. This has got to be a very important question. I know there's people asking, Norma, what was your drive? What was your motivation? What was your inspiration to keep moving and growing in what you were doing? Like, what clicked? Like, why did you get where you needed to be at? Like, that's.
Yeah, I feel like, thank you for asking, but finally it clicked because I love to learn. And I said, well, I remember when I moved to Texas, I hadn't completed my bachelor's, and then I went to school and got my bachelor's here at Texas State. But then when I finished that, I said, well, why should I stop now? I can keep going. And then I completed my master's. And then I remember during my master's, I met a professor at Texas State, and she said, when you're done, I want you to come back into your PhD. I'm like, there's no way. There's no doctors in my family. This lady doesn't really know me. What is she talking about? And then when I was done, a year later, I was like, she texted me. She goes, Norma, the application's open for the PhD. You need to apply. And I said, okay, I think I'm ready to begin studying again. And I thought, well, it's 5 years to do it. I was 45. I said, I'm going to be 50 anyway. So do I want to be 50 with a PhD or without it? I said, and then I asked my family, my husband's like, go for it. We will support you 100%.
Wow.
And I just finally defended my dissertation, now finishing my interviews, and I'm going to be 50 in June. And so, and I thought, we set our own limits.
Yeah.
Make them high. We can accomplish what we set ourselves to. And sometimes we limit ourselves. So yeah, just
say it again, Norma. Say it again. I need to get that.
Limit ourselves. We can't limit ourselves. We need to do it.
We limit ourselves. We do.
We limit ourselves, and it's we have to push ourselves. We know we have to keep moving forward. And I also wanted to show my daughters, if I can do this, you can do that too. And so wanted them to know you can get a PhD and you deserve to be a PhD. And so I wanted them to know that it is attainable, it's achievable, it's not a dream. If you work hard for it, you can do it.
Remember when you were when we talked about you circling back, or no, not circling back, but having people in your circle, positive people, letting you know, talking it out, putting it out there as I can do this, I can do this. But what about the feedback? I just learned proper feedback the past 5-6 years. I mean, I know what feedback is, but I didn't know feedback is key. And if you're not in the right mental space, the mindset, you can take that offensively. You can be like, hey, who are you to tell me this? But I mean, if you were aware of the whole situation, somebody else is talking through that person to you. So you take that information and say, thank you. And then, okay, well, I'll take that, and thank you for the feedback. But others, including me growing up, I'm like, man, who are you to tell me this? You don't know me, So don't get me wrong. It's, it's how to receive feedback, but it's also how to provide feedback.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I agree with you. When I entered the PhD program, it was that professor that, she had for me, what did she gain or lose if I entered this PhD? But she's really invested in helping other Hispanics. We're a very minority in a PhD. So she's like, Norma, you have the skills. I was invited to so many classes to speak on the work that I was doing. I had helped other people go through their PhD program. And so she highlighted the skills that I already have. She goes, you already doing it. You just need to make the time to write about it. And so she kept telling me that. And I finally had to maybe she's onto something. Because at first I was like, she doesn't, I'm so busy. I have kids. Like, she's single. She doesn't get it. Like, at first I was complaining about her not leaving me alone about it. But now I'm so appreciative because she saw in me my potential and she didn't stop. And she had nothing to gain from it. And so I feel like she's also a mentor in my life because we should do that too. See what your potentials are and push you to do it because we know you can do it.
Could you imagine if you had 5 of those growing up?
Oh my gosh.
Could you imagine all of us having at least 5 of those special people growing up?
Yeah.
We could all be president of today of something,
Yeah, because in our culture, our parents do the opposite. Estás mensa, nunca puedes hacer nada, cantona. My mom, this reverse psychology didn't work for my mother.
It don't work. My dad did it too. It don't work. I was like, oh, okay, I can't do it.
I was like, yeah, that's pretty traumatizing, actually. And that's why we go through this imposter syndrome because of that.
Yes.
But again, they don't know any better.
Yeah, that's true. And that's okay. It stinks that we can't tell our parents, hey, do you know that, you're, because here comes a slap to the face. Here comes a chancla to the back of the head and forget about it.
Chancla.
Exactly. Oh my God. It's been so much fun, guys. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. He was in another meeting when he was inviting me for today.
We were trying to wait for our grant. It's like, is the grant money going to happen? Hey, Norma, by the way, you want to be on a podcast?
I'm like, when? Like next week? Like, no, tonight. And I'm like, okay.
She's the only one who can make it happen.
Oh, well, thank you guys. Thank you for what you're doing. This is wonderful. It's going to help so many people.
Thank you. Thank you, Norma.
Thank you,
Patrick.
so much.
Thank you to Diana. They're putting all this together. Awesome.
We'll send you the podcast once we get it all clipped up. And I started making the little shorts for YouTube, and so far Jason's winning. He's got 1,000 views on his. So
dang, well, you guys do your magic. I don't know anything about technology. Not too much about technology.
Yeah. We'll get it.
And that's okay. That's all right.
Yeah, and that's okay. Yes. Yeah.
Right. Good night, world.
Have a good night.
Good night. And for people that are just tuning in for the very first time, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. And so just subscribe and join us. And thank you again for being on the show today. Life in Between. Have a great one.
Thank you, Norma.
Yay.
Thank you. Yay.
Good night, everybody. Good night.
Good night.
Yeah.
Oh, she left. That was quick.
She was like, I'm outies.
And one correction. I said something incorrect. And for the listeners out there, I don't know why I was saying code talking, which is for Native Americans, when they did the code talking. But I was trying to say was code switching.
Oh, code switching.
Yeah.
Code switching. And so I realized when Norma was looking at me like, what is she talking about, code talking? Because that's like for Native Americans. And I'm like, I meant to say code switching. I don't know why it was. I was thinking of the code talkers for the Native American. I'm like, no, it's code switching. Okay.
We'll put an asterisk. We'll put an asterisk in there, just like clarity, just in case.
You know, in the message or in the description, I'll just put in code switching. Like that.
Code switching. Just put it. She meant to say code switching. So that's what I meant to say, code switching.